Freddie Coleman answered the question, are the Browns the team that is best suited to beat the Chiefs in the AFC? This is from ESPN's First Take. Again, here's Freddie Coleman.
No, I still think it's the Buffalo Bills because I wonder if the Browns can handle being the hunted, because 2 years ago when they got all that hype, they did not handle it well. Now, I think they'll be better equipped to handle it now because Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, has done a great job, and they've been able to have the right kind of mix of veteran leadership, and those guys have grown up from 2 years ago. But this Buffalo Bills team, they got a bunch of dudes on defense that just get after the quarterback. They have an underrated secondary. I know that Josh Allen gets a lot of credit, but the wide receiver is terrific. They bring in Emmanuel Sanders to help out this football team. So Cleveland is terrific. I think Cleveland is going to be a terrific team. That's a potential 11 to 12 win team. But in terms of being the best chance to beat Kansas City, I'm going to trust it's the Buffalo Bills because they're tough. They're physical. They're relentless. That's not to say that the Browns are not. But I just think having that experience of dealing with being the hunted in the AFC, when people said this is supposed to be your division, then they went out there and won it. And then they gave Kansas City more than a holy you-know-what in the first half of the AFC Championship game. I trust that that team can handle being the hunted a little bit better than Cleveland this year and stands the best chance to beat the Chiefs in the AFC.
And Dan, if you told me the Ravens, if you told me the Bills, I couldn't argue with it. I don't necessarily agree with the rationale. But if you tell me you think it's the Bills, I can't necessarily argue.
Right. I mean, it could be any of those teams. But the thing that Browns fans need to keep in mind is when you kind of go through the rosters and you look at the Chiefs and the Browns and you stack them side by side, there are legitimate areas where the Browns are just better than the Kansas City Chiefs. Right. Obviously, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, but in the running back room, the offensive line, there's areas on the defense where the Browns are just better than the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think those rosters stack up really well against each other. I think the Browns will handle being kind of the hunted team well too. I understand why he's saying that, but I think they're going to be fine, being the team that's not going to sneak up on anybody, because to be honest with you, I don't know that they were necessarily sneaking up on anybody last year. They were just taking advantage of the opportunities in front of them, and they won 11 games in the process. And, I think they'll handle that okay.
And I think if you stacked up the Browns roster against the Bills, I think the Browns is better. I just do. And you go back to the running back room, you go back to the offensive line. I know they have Stephon Diggs. I know they have some guys on defense. But I like the Browns roster than the Bills. I just do.
Right. And, if you were to sit down and let's say you take the quarterbacks out of the equation, you were to start drafting players from the Browns and the Bills, you might take a few Browns players before you start taking Bills players. So, you got Myles Garrett, Clowney, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. There's so many guys. I didn't even mention Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So the talent on the Browns roster really does stack up, I think, among the best in the league, whether it's the Bills, the Chiefs. If you want to jump over to the Buccaneers, who might have the best roster in football overall, I think the Browns even stack up pretty well against a roster like that.